السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, today we are continuing from where we stopped previously, and today we are looking at this particular lesson. Of course, the first part to almost the end of the lesson, we are going to be looking at muda'af verbs, the fi'l af'al al-muda'af, the fi'l al-muda'af. And without before we begin the dialogue, let's actually look at a little bit about it, like we have been doing. We look at a brief rules that is regarding this particular group of verbs before we start the dialogue. Okay, so please observe here. We have muda'af verbs. Muda'af verbs are basically, when we say muda'af, it actually means multiplication. Meaning something is being multiplied. That's what we term as muda'af actually in Arabic language, literally. But when we term muda'af in terms of verbs in Arabic language, we are actually referring to verbs that have repetition in them. There's verbs where there's repetition in them. Example, if I say madada, you can see it from letters, there's repetition. Okay, sala, waswasa, sila. Okay, zala. All these ones you can hear some kind of repetition. There's a repetition of syllables. So that's what we term as af'al al-muda'af. Hope that is clear. So let's look at this particular chart here. Af'al al-muda'af, fi'l al-muda'af. This particular groups of verbs, they are being categorized into two. We have muda'af as-sulasi, and then we have muda'af ar-ruba'i. So when we say the muda'af as-sulasi, it means that verbs where they have three-letter words. Okay, verbs with three-letter words as their origin, and then there is two repetition. Two of the letters are repeated. Example here, you can see madada here. So it means that you can see here the second and the third letter are repeated. We call them muda'af as-sulasi. So three-letter verbs with the second and the third letter repeated, they are the same. We call it muda'af as-sulasi. I hope that is clear. So example is madada, masasa, farara, okay, radada. All these verbs, we call them muda'af as-sulasi. Three-letter verbs with the second and the third letter being repeated or being the same. Now we have also the muda'af ar-ruba'i. And for them, they are four-letter words. Of course, when you hear ruba'i, that's what comes to your mind, four-letter words. So they are four-letter verbs specifically, where the first and then the third are the same. The second and then the fourth letter are also the same. So this is what happens. Four-letter verbs, the first letter and the third letter are the same. The second and the fourth are also the same. Is that clear? So mainly this one, they come on the scale of fa'ala. Okay, they come on the scale of fa'ala. If you put it on the scale of fa'ala, we say that the ayn and the lam kalima, they are the same. Example, madada, you can see the ayn, this is in the ayn position and this is the lam position, so they are the same. But here in Arabic language, they come on the pattern of fa'alala. These verbs, muda'af ar-ruba'i verbs, they come on the pattern of fa'alala. So if you put it on the pattern of fa'alala, you are going to see that the fa and then the first lam, then the ayn and then the second lam are the same. How that is clear. So this is what we term as the muda'af verbs. Okay, in summarization, there are two divisions: muda'af as-sulasi and the muda'af ar-ruba'i. Muda'af as-sulasi, three-letter verbs. The second and the third letter are repeated or are the same. Example, madada. Then muda'af ar-ruba'i, they are four-letter verbs. The first and then the third letter are the same. The second and then the fourth letter are also the same, but different from the first and the third one. Okay, so let's read what Sheikh is saying here. Sheikh is saying here that al-fi'l al-muda'af here, al-fi'l al-muda'af min aqsam as-sahih. Okay, so from there, they are from the sahih verbs. You can remember, we look at sahih and the mu'tal verbs. They are from the sahih verbs, meaning that they don't have huruf illa among them, among their root letters. And then he says that wal muda'af kismani, and muda'af verbs, they are into two divisions. Muda'af verbs are into two divisions. Al muda'af as-sulasi, that's what we have explained here. Then he says that al-muda'af as-sulasi, that's the first one. He says that وَهُوَ مَا كَانَتْ عَيْنُهُ وَلَامُهُ مِنْ جِنْسٍ وَاحِدٍ It is that, bimana, it is there are verbs where makana aynuhu is ayn, the letter in the ayn position, that's the middle letter. Walamuhu, and then the lam, aynuhu, walamuhu, if you put it on the pattern of the fa'ala, you see that the second and the third letter, that's the ayn and then the lam position. They are min jinsin wahidin, they are from the same kind, they are the same, from the same kind. I hope that is clear. Now, example, madda, radda. So actually, these are the verbs. We say madada, but we do idgham. You can remember in tajweed, we say idgham. In Arabic language, when you have two letters, the same, following one another, and then they are both mutaharrik. Okay, we try to do idgham. We try to merge them. Okay, so instead of saying madada, it's easier to say madda, to join it and be free. Oh, that is clear. To join it and be free than saying madada. No one would like to be saying madada, farara, radada, okay, masasa, masisa. It doesn't really, it's not encouraging. I hope that is clear. So in simplicity, we prefer to see madda, simple. So when we have madada, actually this is the original verb, but we don't leave it like this. We try to merge it. And so you will see madda. We'll try to do it. We'll look at how it is being merged. I hope that is clear. So all the mudha'af sulasi verbs, that is how they come. They come on. That is how finally we leave them. We leave it in the form madda, radda, farra, massa. I hope that is clear. Dorra. That is how we leave them. We don't leave it like dorara, farara, masisa. We don't leave it like that. All that is clear. We try to do it to make them. So that is why he's saying nahu, example, madda, radda. Now he mentioned the second one, that the second division here, al-mudha'af ar-ruba'i, wa huwa ma kanat fa'uhu wa lamuhu al-ula. It is that where, or it is that which fa'uhu is fa, we mean the fa, the first letter, the letter occupying the first position, wa lamuhu al-ula, and then its first lam. You can see it is having two lam, fa'alala. You can see it is having two lam at the end. So this is a pattern. This is a pattern. It's a wazn in Arabic language for this particular group of verbs. Mudha'af ar-ruba'i, they are for this. They come on this pattern. So looking at this pattern, the manner, the first, that's the third position. The letter occupying the third position, that's the lamuhul ula min jinsin wahidin. The fa and then the lamuhul ula is first lam. And then the fa position, that's the first and then the third letter, literally, they are going to be the same. And that's what I've mentioned here. You can see the dal and then the dal here, they are the first and then the third position letters, they are the same. Wa aynuhu wa lamuhu saniya. Wa aynuhu, and then is ayn. Look at here, the ayn is in the second position. Wa lamuhu saniya, and then is second lam. Min jinsin akhar, is of a different kind. So the first and then the third letter, they are the same. The second and then the fourth letter, they are also the same but different from the first and the third letters. Hope that is clear. Okay. Example, nahu, example, damdama. This is an example. Asa, zalzala. Okay, waswasa. All these ones, they are from the mudha'af ar-ruba'i. Now Sheikh says here that wal maqsudu bil mudha'af huna, and what is meant or what is intended by mudha'af in here, in this particular lesson that we are coming to look at, innama huwa ath-thulasi. It is the sulasi, the mudha'af as-sulasi. So when we say mudha'af here, we are going to be treating mudha'af as-sulasi. That's what the Sheikh is saying here. When we hear mudha'af in this particular lesson, we are going to be looking at mudha'af as-sulasi only. The mudha'af ar-ruba'i, we will not be looking at it. That's why he says here, amma ar-ruba'i fa hukmuhu ki hukm salim. As for the ruba'i, is verdict, is rulers, is the same as or is similar to that of the salim. What you have looked, the first salim, af'alu salim. How that is, we have looked at those verbs. It is the same. So the mudha'af ar-ruba'i, they are almost the same with the previous verbs that we have looked at. Okay, their conjugation is not, there isn't any difference between them in comparison to the previous verbs. Hope that is clear. We'll not be looking at it. Actually, this lesson, our focus is going to be on the mudha'af as-sulasi. So that's what he says here. La yuhzafu minhu shay'un inda isnadihi ila ad-dama'ir. He's still saying that nothing happens to it when it has been referred to a particular damir. Okay. Now let's look at here. So let's now look at it. The mudaf as-sulasi. As I said, the actual verbs, the verbs come on the pattern of fa'ala. So here we say madada. Of the fa'ala. So that's the actual verbs. Madada. And then the mudara is going to be yamdudu. Okay, like we have kharaja, yakhruju. The same way madada, yamdudu. So that's how the verbs comes. Radada, yarududu. The verb is radada, yarududu. But look at something here. When we have this, if we have this, you can see that there's some repetitions. Dal, 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 dal. We can't leave it like that. As I said, in Arabic language, we have to look at tajweed. We all know tajweed. Idgham. We have to do idgham. We can't leave it like that. We won't have two letters repeated, following one another. And then, especially when they are mutaharrik, we can't leave it like that. We have to merge them. Okay, so we try to do idgham here. How are we going to do the idgham? Let's look at it. When we are doing idgham, first we have to look at the letter that comes before it. If the letter that is before it is having sukun, listen carefully. Our intention here is to, or our goal here is to make one of the letters have to get a sukun. Dal, dal, they are both mutaharrik. We find it difficult to pronounce. What do? We want to put shadda. When there's shadda, it means one of it is having sukun. But here there's no sukun. So we want to give one of its sukun. One of these two letters, we'll have to give it sukun. How do we give it sukun? Always make the first duplicate letter sakin. So we look at the first duplicate letter and then we make it sakin. Exactly. The first duplicate letter here, we give it sakin. Man, a sukun. We give it sukun. So we look at here, we give here sukun. And so it will not be this. Madda. And that is what will give us here. Madda. Exactly. So that is how we ended up having madda. So this is what we use literally. This is what we use actually. But the actual verb is madada. But because there is repetition, we have to do idgham. By giving one of its sukun, we want the first letter. That's what we see, the first duplicate letter, the first dal, which is repeated. And that's what we have to give the sukun to. So we give a sukun. Hope that is clear. But if here, okay, let me not say, when we get further, we will talk about that. Hope that is clear. Okay. Now, so this is the mudda. So that's how the madi is madda. But the actual verb is madada. Just that we don't use the madada. We use it in other cases, but most of it, actually, literally we just use the madda instead of madada. But the origin is madada. We have to know the origin. Okay. Now let's look at here. Yamdudu. That's the mudore. Yamdudu. You can see there's a repetition. We can't leave it like that. We have to merge it. How do we merge it? We give here school. That's what you say, right? But if you give here school, you can see there are now iltiqa as-sakinah, so it cannot be pronounced. So you see, we need to do, there will be another problem. So in simplicity, listen carefully. If the previous letter is having sukun, you don't give it sukun so that there will now be iltiqa as-sakinah. What you do is that we change it. Bring the dhamma here and take this sukun here. You simply change it then. Hope that is clear. So here we give the dal here sukun because here is not having sukun to begin with. So it will be able to pronounce it. But here you can't give sukun again. If the previous letter is already having sukun, we simply change it to swap it. And so you get this. Yamuddu. And so the mudore is going to be yamuddu. Is that clear? So that is how it is formed. That is how we form it. Let's look at here. Inshallah, when we look at here to be clear. You have radada as a fairly madi. Radada. You can see there's repetition. We don't want the repetition. So we want to, we have to give sukun to one of it so that we'll be able to merge it. That's why we say always make the first duplicate letter sakin. Give here sukun. But you have to look, the previous letter, you shouldn't be having sukun. If it was to be having sukun, we'll simply change them, swap them, harakah. Oh, that's clear. And so we'll get this, and then we'll get radda. Exactly. So in actual sense, we use the radda. We don't use the radda. We use the radda. We don't say radda. Exactly. That's what we use. But this is the original effect. Okay. Now let's look at this one. Yarududu. Yarududu is the mudore. Radada yarududu. So this is the original mudore, but we don't use that one. We use yaruddu. How do we get the yaruddu? This one there's repetition of syllables. We have to merge them. We have to do idgham. How do we do the idgham? See here. There's already spoon here, so you don't need to put spoon here. If you do that, you can't read it. There will be iltiqa as sakinain. So you simply swap them, change it. Bring the dhamma here and take this spoon here to the dhamma. So it will now be this. How that is clear. Yaruddu, and that will give you this. Yaruddu. Is that clear? Okay, so that is how simple they are. That is how it is. So actually, in actual sense, the verb is madda. But when someone also say madada, it's correct. But that's not what we use. We don't use that one much. We use the madda. Okay, it's speaking. You say madda. Madda means he extended his hand. Of that is clear. He extended something. It could be anything. He extended. How that is clear. Okay. Even in tajweed, we have madda, to prolong something, to prolongate something. Okay. We are learning something here, very important rule. It says that when an obvious pronoun attaches, the idgham, that's the merging, is removed. So you see it like this. This madda. I said we use this one, madda, radda. But when a domir attaches, madda, as I said, it means he extended. Okay, he prolonged something, he extended something. So if I want to say I extended, so I'll add two, right? The domir. I'll add two here. So I can't say maddatu. It doesn't make sense. So that's what the ruling is saying here. When an obvious pronoun attaches, the idgham, the merging, is removed. You have to use, if you want to attach a domir, a pronoun, you have to use the original form of the verb. So that's why we need to know them, the original verb. So you have to attach the domir here. And so you simply do, like we have zahab tu. So you have zahab tu. So you say madad tu, I extended. Madad tu, I extended. How that is clear. So when a domir is not only to madad tu, madad na, madad tum, all these pronouns, when they attach, if an obvious domir attaches, you can use the shadda, the one with the idgham, the verb with the idgham. You can use that one. You have to use the original verb. So that's what this particular ruling is saying here. So you can see, as I just explained, if you want to use here, if you have to attach to the pronouns here, so you simply say madatu, madatta, madatti, madattum, madadana. That's why you see radda here also. The actual verb is radda, but because you are attaching a pronoun, you can see raddatu, raddata. You can see that. You have to open it up, and so you use the asal, the original form of the verb for conjugation. So when we are attaching domir, clear pronouns to it, we use the actual form of the verb. And so that is what you see here. Radatu, radatta, radatti, radattum, radatna. All that is clear. Okay. So now let's look at, let's go to the next part of it. Here we are going to see the patterns on which they come. They can come on different patterns. All that is clear. There are different patterns on which it could come. So these verbs. The first pattern that, like the other verbs, all the other verbs, they have patterns that they can come. So here they have three patterns. Fa'ala yaf'ulu. Fa'ala yaf'ilu. Fa'ila yaf'alu. Our concentration should be on the harakas, the vowels. Fa'ala yaf'ulu. Okay. Fa'ala yaf'ulu. Fa'ala yaf'ilu. Kesra. Fa'ila. Here. Yaf'alu. I hope that is clear. So these are the patterns in which it can come. So example, madda. If I have madda, it means the pattern it is madada yamdudu. Madada yamdudu. But when you say farra, it means the pattern is farara yafriru. Oh, that is clear. Farara yafriru. Now massa, it means the pattern is masisa yamsasu. Masisa yamsasu. Oh, that is clear. So these are the patterns on which the verbs of Mudha'af as-Sulasi can come. Okay. Now it's not anything difficult. It's not anything difficult. Actually, it's not all the time. Now you just heard me saying fa'ala. You think it's not all the verbs that come on the pattern of fa'ala. That's what we are learning here. There could be fa'ala and then there could be fa'ila. You see here, these two parts, they are fa'ala, but here there could be fa'ila. So madada, when you say madda, if you see this verb, it doesn't mean it will just be madada. Even though it is farara. Here you can say masasa. Here casually you could have just say masasa, but no, it is masisa. I hope that is clear. Masisa. How do you know that it is masisa and it is not masasa? And this one is farara, but not farira. And this one is madada, but not madida. You have to look at the mudore. I hope that is clear. When you want to know, you have to look at them, use the mudore. So, of course, you'll be given the mudore to determine the pattern in which it falls. Okay. So inside the mudore, look on the ayin kelima. If the ayin position, that's the second last letter of the mudore, is having dhamma or kesra, then it will be having fatha. It will be fa'ala. The difference is on the ayin. Okay, the ayin is what changes. Any other thing doesn't change. The ayin, the vowel on the ayin is what changes. So if it is dhamma or kesra in the mudore, then the madi is going to have fatha. Example here, yam dudu. Okay, if you have yam dudu like this, yam do. Okay, yam dudu. Or we have farira, yafriru. You can see we have yafriru here. So if I have this, how do I know that the mudore is fa'ala or fa'ila? Here the mudore is going to be, the madi is going to be madada. How do I know it is madada but not madida? Oh, that is if I want the origin of the madi. So simplicity, we are saying that you have to look at the middle. If the ain kelima, the second last letter, that's the ain kelima, is having dhamma or kesra, then the mudore is going to be fa'ala. The ain is going to have fatha on it. So it's going to be fa'ala. How that is clear, fa'ala. But if the ain kelima in the mudore is having fatha instead of kesra or dhamma, like here, masisa, yamsasu. The mudore is yamsasu. Let me write it, you see, like this. Yamsasu. You have to pardon me, I'm using a mouse to write. So we have yamsasu, like here. Yamsasu. You can clearly see that the mudore, the second last letter, that is the ain position, is having fatha. We said when that happens, then that means the madi is going to have kesra. So you are going to see ma, si, sa. I hope that is clear. Masi, sa, not masasa. I hope that is clear. Okay. So that is how we determine the madi. If the mudore is given to you, you have to look at the second last letter, that's the ain position. If it is having dhamma or kesra, then it means the madi is going to be fatha throughout, fatha, fa'ala pattern. So here you see madada, okay, farara, because the madi, the second last letter, the ain position is having dhamma or kesra. But if they give you the mudore and you look at it, the second last letter is having fatha, then the mudore shouldn't be fatha also. It should be fatha, kesra, fatha. The ain position should have kesra. So it should be masisa. I hope that is clear. So that's what it has been said here. Knowing the mudore helps determine the pattern of the madi. If you know the mudore, it can help you to determine the pattern of the mudore. I hope that is clear. Okay. Now let's look at something also. We are going to look at if a harf jazm should attach, what is going to happen? Like lam. Lam is a harf jazm. So if it attaches, what is going to happen? I hope that is clear. The verb is yamuddu. Let's take this verb as an example. It's a fi'l mudari, a past tense, a present tense verb. Mudari, yamuddu. And that's what is here. Yamuddu. With another way of writing it is like this, right? Okay, so let's attach the lam. If you attach the lam and attach, what is going to happen? When a harf jazm attaches, let's see yazhabu. If I attach lam, it will now be lam yazhab. You can see you give the last letter sukun. So if you give it sukun, what is going to happen? Of course, there will be iltiqa as-sakinayn. But listen carefully. In mudha'af as-sulasi, whenever there is repetition on the when the two letters are having sukun, are both having sukun, the two repeated letters are having sukun, there's iltiqa as-sakinayn on the two repeated letters. We change it to fatha, to lam yamudda. The lam give here, attach, bring lam here. Of course, when lam comes, we give here sukun. You can see there are now two schools. And I said, when that happens in fi'l mudha'af as-sulasi, you change it to fatha. I hope that is clear. So it will now be lam yamudda. You can see it here, lam yamudda. So the lam has make it fatha. So instead of yamuddu, when you attach lam, you simply make here fatha, lam yamudda. And so the actual verb is yamuddu, but when you add lam, it will be lam yamudda. And I've explained why it is so. Is that clear? Let me explain further here. Observe here. Observe here. Let me explain using here. Okay. Observe here. This is the verb. Assuming I attach lam here. The verb, as I said, they could be the original verb, and this is after idgham. This is what we'll get. So let's say you add lam here. After the idgham, you attach lam here. Lam always come with sukun. It makes fi'l mudari jazm mainly by sukun. Okay, sukun. So this will now be iltiqa as-sakinayn. When that happens in mudha'af as-sulasi, we give it fatha, so it will be lam yamudda. So the actual form of it will be lam yamudda. But if you are using the original, so there could be two mudhari. That is, there could be two ways. If you attach the lam to the verb with the idgham. But if you are attaching it to the verb without the idgham, you simply give here sukun. You will still be able to pronounce it. There will be no iltiqa as-sakinayn. So it will be lam yamdud. Lam yamdud. Lam yamdud. So that is it. So when you attach the lam, there could be two ways. It depends on where you attach it. If you attach it to the original word, the original verb, then of course there will be no iltiqa as-sakinayn. So it will just be lam yamdud. But if you attach it to the verb after the idgham has been done, then you have to, there will be iltiqa as-sakinayn, then you change it to fatha. Then it will now be lam yamudda. Lam yamudda. So that is it. Now let's look at this other verb here, the radda. Okay. So the mudhari is yarududu. Yarududu. Radada yarududu. But if you, so this is the original verb. And this is after idgham has been done on it for easy pronunciation. So yarududu, yaruddu is the same. Yarududu, yarududu, and then yaruddu. Yarududu and then yaruddu. So as I said, they are the same. There are two ways of the verbs. The verb could be yarududu, and it can also be yaruddu. It could be yarududu and it could be yaruddu. It could be yarududu and it could be yaruddu. Two forms of the verb. So if I'm adding lam, let's say I'm putting my lam here. I'm using the original form of the verb. It will be lam I'll give here school. Then it will be lam yardud. So that's correct. That's one way of saying lam yardud. He didn't return it. Lam yardudhu. He didn't return it. Oh, that is correct. Lam yardud. He didn't return. But if I want to use the after the idgham has been made on the verb, of course that's the same thing here. I'll put school here. And you can see there's iltiqa as-sakinain. You can now see there's what? Iltiqa as-sakinain. So I'll turn it to fatha. So lam yarudda. Lam yarudda. So that is what is being explained here. It could be huwa lam yamudda. He didn't extend. Or if you are using the origin, you can see lam yamdud the same way. Lam tamudda, lam tamdud. I hope that is clear. For huwa and then anta. I hope that is clear. Okay, so this is a simple table that summarizes everything that we have said here. Now the amr, let me talk about the amr also. Okay, and let me just briefly talk about how the amr is conjugated. The amr is the command. If you want to command someone, of that is clear. If you are commanding someone, of course, it's just the actual way of doing other verbs. How we conjugate amr for other verbs. That's how we conjugate it. So if you are conjugating for, let's say, yamdudu, first of all, you have to remove the first letter here. It is gone. Then you put school. So that's the origin. We are using the original verb. The original verb. Amr to can get two ways. There will be two ways of conjugating amr. Whether you are using the origin of the verb, or you are using after the idgham has been done on the verb. So if you are doing it, if you are using this one, first you remove the first letter. Then you get this. Then you put school on the last letter. Just the actual way, the pattern that we follow for making amr for other verbs. Then you can see it's now going to be left with dud, which is not pronounceable. So you have to put hamza to the wasl. Here's having dhamma, the second last letter, and you give it dhamma. So it will be dud. Yes, normal way for conjugating other verbs. So this could be the first amr, the first way of doing the amr. Dud. Extend. Now the other way, if there is idgham, we have already done the idgham, and then we are going to make amr. We remove the first letter. We give here school. So you can see now two schools. What do? We make fatha. So it will be mud. It is going to be mudda. Okay, mudda. So these are two ways of doing it. There could be two ways of commanding. If you are commanding, you can see mudda, or you can see umdud. The same way here, you can see radda, or you can see urdud. Let's look at it how using the actual verb. If you are using the original verb, you are going to first just a normal pattern for conjugating amr. Remove the first letter, give school to the last letter, and then introduce hamza to the wasl. Here is having dhamma, then you give it dhamma. So it will be what? Urdud. So that's simple. One way of seeing the amr. As I said, this pattern, they have two ways of doing it. Or you can use after idgham has been done. After idgham has been done, first remove the first letter, introduce hamza to the wasl. There is going to be iltiqa sakinain, and I said when there is iltiqa sakinain, what do? You give the last letter fatha. So it will be rudda, and this is the amr. Oh, that is clear. Rudda. Exactly. So that's simplicity how it is. Now, as I said, the table here, it has a summarization of all that we have. We have looked at the madi, the mudore, and then the amr. Okay. So we have radda, and we have already looked at that verb. We have radda, raddu, raddat, raddata, radadna. When as we have said, when an obvious domir pronoun attaches, the idgham will go away. We will return back to the origin. So radatta, radadna, radatta, radattuma, radatti, radattuma, radattuna, radattu, radadna. And then the mudore, yaruddu, yaruddani, yarudduna, taruddu, taruddani, yaruduna, taruddu, taruddani, tarudduna, taruddina, taruddani, tarudunna, aruddu, naruddu. And an amr, rudda, rudda, ruddu, ruddi, rudda, urdudna. And then we have explained how all this is conjugated. Inshallah, so these are the basic introduction that we needed to do before we start the dialogue. Inshallah, in the next lesson, we'll pause here and then we'll continue in the next lesson where we'll start the dialogue from afresh. Jazak Allahu Khair. If you have any question, inshallah, you can communicate to us. We'll try to explain further for you. Jazak Allahu Khair. Wa barakallahu li wa lakum fi Qur'an al-Hakim. Wa nafa'ali wa iyyakum min ayati wa zikri al-Hakim.